Welcome to the Just in Time podcast. I'm your host, Justin Shute. This is episode 23. And today we're going to be talking about the Alabama versus Michigan preview. We're going to go ahead and preview Texas versus Washington, those two games coming up on Monday. And we're also going to talk a little bit about the transfer portal and the offseason moves that have been going on with college football. But as always, I want to give a quick shout out to the sole sponsor of the video. We got 4K the Barber. We're going to shout out High Jump Party Rentals and 4K the Barber. High quality party bounces and party packages available along with an up and coming barber service. You can reach out to either or at 210-438-3366. And Chris and Erica will take care of both of y'all. They're your people to go. If you need a haircut, I know Chris just did me right today. But if you need a haircut or you need some party bounces, I know it's a little cool in the Texas region, but nonetheless, they got the party bounces for y'all, popcorn machines, whatever you need. They're your people to go to. So if you're in the San Antonio area, please get at either of them. If you need a haircut or you need a party bounce, they're your people to go to. Now we're going to break down this Alabama versus Michigan game to start off the video. And we got number 4 Alabama versus number 1 Michigan at the Rose Bowl on January 1st at 4 p.m. Central Time. And Michigan hasn't played a team like Alabama all year long. And I think this game is going to come down to 3 main factors. The first one being Jalen Milroe and his running ability. I don't believe that Michigan has seen a quarterback like him all year. And you can look at their schedule and probably find maybe 1 or 2 teams that actually competed with Michigan this year. And that's kind of a knock on them for getting a cupcake schedule. But in all honesty, they got to play Penn State, who had Drew Allard, and he's nothing. He's good, but he's nothing like Jalen Milroe has been this year. And he played, and Michigan also played against Ohio State, and Ohio State had Common Core, and Common Core wasn't that impressive either. So, nonetheless, Alabama is the best team Michigan's going to be playing all year long, and this ain't no Big Ten team. This is cream of the crop, SEC champ. How's Michigan going to do? I'm not sure because they haven't really seen too much of a scrambling quarterback this season. So I'm anticipating, just based off of how Jalen Milroe has progressed all year long, that he'll have a pretty good game. Once he gets comfortable, that's kind of lights out. During that Georgia game, when it was Alabama versus Georgia in the SEC championship, we saw Georgia try to combat Jalen Milroe's running ability with 2 quarterback spies. And what that led was, it just led the defense to basically play 9 on 11 because with the quarterback spy, you're essentially telling the defender that their only job is to just watch the quarterback. And if he scrambles out the pocket, then you go after him. Well, you're limiting that defender to do anything else, guard other guys, lock up other guys. I think Pro ability will be a key contributor to this game. I think Michigan's pass game is the key for them to winning this football game. I don't think that Blake Corum's going to have the success that he will against Bama's defense and that interior defense. I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at all the teams that Alabama has played all year long. And they played tough competition like Texas, Georgia. They played LSU. They played A&M. But nonetheless, nobody has really had success running on Alabama like that. And the only team that really did it to a T was Texas, and that was with the brilliance of Jonathan Brooks, who is arguably the best running back in college football this year. I certainly think so. But nonetheless, Blake Corum is one of those guys. He should be in the running for one of the best running backs in the nation. And oh my God, Ivan! Shout out to Ivan and all the viewers in Instagram live chat. I appreciate y'all. But I personally think that Michigan's not going to have success running the football too well against Alabama's tall and physical defensive line. That being said, if Blake Corum can find success and he can, average 6 to 7 yards per carry and, get a touchdown or 2 on the ground, then that opens up things for Michigan. That opens up things to where the passing game can have more time to get more comfortable. Jim McCarthy can, You're playing against Big Ten teams that aren't really that competitive to Michigan. He hasn't had to throw the ball for over 300 yards and over 40 attempts a game. He hasn't had to do that. Michigan versus Alabama in the playoff game, you're going to have to do that. So that being said, I personally lean Alabama in this game. I think they play tougher competition all year long, and they've improved at a significant level. I think Michigan is a good football team, but they haven't played any elite team all year long, and that's not enough for Ohio State. We all saw what they look like during the regular season. Michigan is a good football team, but they haven't played anybody elite, and I think this game will come down to whether Bama can execute or not. Their game. And the odds makers have this being a relatively low scoring game compared to the Texas and Washington matchup. But we're gonna see. I Alabama would have won. I would be very surprised if Michigan pulled this game out. I think if they do win it, it's gonna have to be from JJ McCarthy stepping up, and I just don't think that he can do it against this Alabama defense. This Alabama team is very good. We'll take a quick water break, and then we're going to talk about this Texas and Washington matchup. I have a lot to say on this. So, all righty, let's talk about this Texas versus Washington. We got number 3 Texas versus number 2 Washington at the Sugar Bowl on January 1st at 7:45 p.m. Central Time. Starting off with the Texas Longhorns, let's just talk about our offense for a second. I'm just going to talk about it as if you're looking at 2 teams and you're going to have to just lay it all out there. So, quarterback Quinn Ewers, he took a significant jump in year 2 as a starter for the Texas Longhorns. As the highest ranked quarterback coming out of his class, many anticipated that he would be slinging the football all over the football field, but he's improved in his ability to be an effective game manager. And while I say he's an effective game manager, that can be a negative connotation at times. Being an effective game manager can win you crucial games. Quinn will pick up his moments, and he'll amp up his aggression when distributing the football, and he'll choose when to be conservative or when to be aggressive when it comes to making a play down the field. And I think that right there is his ultimate trait. He's significantly improved in that aspect of the game. As a quarterback, he's not just looking for the big play down the field, and he's being a good game manager. And what I mean by that, he's picking apart his time. He's looking at how the game's going, and does he need to make a big play right now? Does he need to lean back and just work on getting the first down? Just little stuff like that. Quinn can be inconsistent with the deep ball at times, and the Longhorns don't throw the deep ball down the field often. However, something Quinn is dominant in is throwing the football in the intermediate part of the field. Quinn has a way of just throwing the ball with lots of touch and fluidity in his throws. Quinn's touch allows him to do most of his damage on passing through the intermediate part of the field, and the weapons he's throwing to usually get to make plays in the open field because of it. Quinn can also use his legs if he needs to, but he's actively scrambling often. He can get out of a bad situation if he's got to. He's consistently can maneuver around. And I will say the greatest part about Quinn's game is how he can throw a touch. He's kind of got that Aaron Rodgers-esque kind of motion with his throwing ability, but I'm not comparing him to Aaron Rodgers because I think the two are different types of quarterbacks. Quinn Ewers is his own quarterback. Quinn is tough. He steps up in the big games. He had a huge game versus Bama week 2. And, he's had some pretty good games throughout the year. He got a little bit. He got sidelined. He had the league start for 2 games. And, he hit his best ball as of late in the conference championship game for the Big 12. He had a monster performance breaking the Big 12 conference, the conference championship game record. So it's just good to see him progress and get better as the year goes on. And, talking about Quinn Ewers, he's one of the best quarterbacks in college football. And so I think that Texas is really good at the quarterback spot. And we're going to move on to the wide receiver spots. Texas is absolutely loaded with NFL talent. This Longhorn passing game's got more and more consistent as the year went on. Texas junior wide receiver Xavier Worthy leads the team in targets for a 3rd straight year. Worthy's key strength has to be his acceleration and his speed. He can get to his speed in a blink of an eye, and oftentimes shows that what he's able to do with his yards after the catch. Now, Texas junior wide receiver, who is a transfer from Georgia, Adonai Mitchell is second in the team for targets at 6'4", 190 pounds. AD is able to make big plays for the Longhorns, and he's shown throughout the years, throughout the years of his entire collegiate career. At Georgia, AD had touchdowns in all of his college football championship games, and he came to Texas, and he's been, Texas's best red zone receiver, and he's looked to be the main guy if you need a big play down the field. Look for AD Mitchell. At the tight end spot, we got Ja'Tavion Sanders, and he's a problem for most linebackers and defensive backs in the country. At 6'4", he's not your typical tight end who only runs simple routes and is there for the short plays and gains. Sanders' yak ability, his yards after the catch, is extremely impressive. He has the ability to run deep crossing routes and play a legitimate role in the intermediate and long part of the field. So that's just another problem for defenses to worry about. And last but not least, senior Texas wide receiver Jordan Whittington. He spends most of his time in the slot, but he's an important one for the offense. Defenses will likely key in on Worthy, Mitchell, and Sanders. And so having a guy like Whittington as your stable number 3 or 4 option in your offense is huge. Whittington is athletic, and he can be effective and important in a lot of games. This Texas wide receiving room is probably one of my favorites ever. It's not as talented as like Ohio State's crazy run with like Olave, Wilson, and Harrison. It's not as crazy as Alabama's, where they got Devontae Smith, Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, and all them studs at wide receiver. But it's damn good. And you got Xavier Worthy, who I don't think he's going to go first round, even though I think he's a first round talent. The wide receiver room is just stacked in this year's NFL draft. He could go first or second round. AD Mitchell could go first or second round. Ja'Tavion Sanders can go first or second round. That's just 3 of those guys with talent. And Jordan Whittington will get drafted. Definitely not in the first or second rounds, I would say. But great slot option, 6'1", 190 pounds, 205 pounds, I believe. He's got some muscle on him. All 4 of those guys are lethal weapons, and that's just a tough wide receiver group to stop for any defense in the nation. And after that, you got guys like Jonte Cook who can play. They've got, I know they just got Matthew Golden in the portal. That's exciting. But they got Ryan Niblett, DeAndre Moore. They got studs in the wide receiver room behind them. Nonetheless, for a team like Washington to try to match up against Texas's wide receivers, it's going to be a problem to say the least for them. On the offensive line, this line is one of the best in the nation. Offensive tackle Kelvin Banks Jr. is a force with his guard-like movement for a tackle. Overall, the solid pass blocking line, the play calling and run game remains strong for the Hornets, and this is a strength for the team. You got guys like Kelvin Banks Jr. I'm blanking right now. They're all solid. I mean, you would want them to play better than what they have been, but nonetheless, this is a good group of offense. I'm gonna just look up because I can't believe I'm. All right, here we go. DJ Campbell is on that line. Christian Jones is solid. He's like a 5th-year senior, I believe. Hayden Connor, Jake Majors, Cole Hudson. They got good size up there for the spot, and they also recruited very well. They got Brandon Baker coming in as a 5-star offensive tackle. So Texas is doing good on the offensive line. Hopefully, they do good enough to where they can eliminate Washington's pass and rush defense. Give the offense enough time to go out there and make some plays. When star running back Jonathan Brooks went down for the Longhorns, that was a bit of a blow to the team. They got to look deep into the running back room, and they looked towards running back Jaden Blue and CJ Baxter to step up. Baxter led the nation. Baxter led the team in targets and carries, and now Blue remains second behind him, being involved in the offense heavily, specifically matched up versus Washington in the Sugar Bowl. Texas will need to run the ball effectively to win the football game. And running back Keelan Robinson is also named as a big playability, and his speed is a problem for any defense. If he's in the game, Texas is likely going to target him, and he's going to get the ball in open space, and they're going to look for him to score. I believe he's had 12 carries this whole season, and for 3 of them, they've been touchdowns. So he's hitting at about a 25% rate when it comes to getting his carries to touchdowns. So that's really that math is wrong. Nonetheless, this offense is crazy. This defense is crazy. Um, Without a doubt, the only key weakness on the offensive side of the football has got to be the red zone offense ability. If they're able to overcome the red zone issues, there's no weakness to this offensive unit. The problem is, when they get to the red zone offense, they just, I feel like they get cute oftentimes. And, we really got to just simplify at the end of the day, look to hit your consistent targets like A.D. Mitchell. If you're stuck in the red zone, he's been huge in the red zone. Look to hit the lanes and get the open guys some space to run the football in, like C.J. Baxter and Jim Blue. But yeah, let's talk about this defense for a second, because this Texas defense has played at a high level all year long. They're clutch, and they rank as the best team on defense on third down in the entire nation. So that means when it's third down, Texas is the best defense in the nation. Texas is also the fourth best in the nation on defense in the red zone. Texas is a good team when it comes to the run defense. Devontae Sweat ranks as the best defensive tackle in the nation. He might not be the best defensive tackle on NFL draft boards, but he is the best in college football. Against the run, Texas is fifth in the nation against the rush. The interior defensive line is the strength of this team. Byron Murphy, Alfred Collins, and Vernon Broughton are all amazing when it comes to the defensive linemen on the interior side. Now, when you're talking about the ends, you're looking at Ethan Burke, Anthony Hill. Those two do a lot of the damage on the ends of the ball, and they get to the quarterback pretty quick and to the defenders. But without a doubt, it's Devontae Sweat's leadership and the interior defensive line that really does its work for the long term. You also got let me shout out Anthony Hill for a second. True freshman, really making his mark on the defensive side of the ball this year. He played amazing in Alabama versus week 2. I believe he'll be huge in this game versus Washington. He's going to have to do a lot of, cute stuff, because, you're going to be matched up against, oftentimes, you're going to have to guard Dylan Johnson, the running back for Washington. Sometimes they use him out of the pass game, and they're a pass-heavy team. But with that being said, they do have to run the ball. They want to find some success against us on defense. And so, that's going to be on the team as well to step up. Jalen Ford is going to have to be a big one that steps up. Jalen Ford and David Gimba. Those two linebackers right there paired alongside Anthony Hill will have to be huge for this matchup. You got guys in the defensive in the secondary part of the field, guys like Ryan Watts, Terrence Brooks, Muhammad, Gavin Holmes, Jade Barron. Shout out Jade Barron. Derek Williams. Derek Williams will be suspended the first half of that Texas versus Washington game, but that's okay. We'll get him back that second half. He's a huge impact player, and Michael Taft is going to be, there in the safety part of the field. But those are all guys that I wanted to highlight on defense. They're a great group. Oftentimes they don't face adversity much, but when they do, they step up. And I feel like this Texas team is a very complimentary, brittle team. If the offense is slowing down and they need the defense to step up, the defense will step up and have a big day. If the defense is slowing down, they can't seem to stop the offense. Well, Quinn Ewers and the offense steps it up a bit and they get it going. Overall, I think this team is the best and most complete Texas team I've seen in the last great winning Texas teams in the 2000s. I believe that they can win it all, and I've been saying, I've been on this train since the beginning of this podcast. As a Longhorn fan, I'm super blessed that my favorite team is in the playoff and that they're able to have a chance to maximize their ceiling. And I'm excited and anticipating that game versus Washington on New Year's Day so much. I believe that Texas will be able to take away Washington's ability to effectively run the football. This will force them to throw the ball, and that is one of their strengths. However, a one-dimensional offense likely won't get the job done in the playoff game, and I think that Texas will come out on top as they're the most balanced team in the college football playoff. However, with that being said, I didn't really write down any notes from Washington, but I do want to break down a little bit of their game plans to kind of, formulate some, theories as to how they can succeed in this setting. So Talking about Washington, they got Michael Penix Jr. He was a Heisman finalist this year. Penix Jr. Um, he's probably top five in passing yards and passing stats amongst all quarterbacks in the nation. Washington is a very pass-heavy offense. Um, Other than that, running back Dylan Johnson does a lot of the carrying for them at the running back spot. He's had some pretty good games. He's had an up and down kind of year. Nonetheless, pretty solid. And the big games that he has, he's gone up against the best competition and succeeded. I think against Oregon, he had his biggest game. So that's a good sign for Washington Huskies fans. And for wide receivers, they're led by a three-man pack. Dylan, I think, is one of the guys. Jalen Polk, who's nasty, and Roma Dunze is the huge one right there. Roma Dunze is like a top 10, top 15 NFL draft talent this year. That's a NFL wide receiver right there. Standing at like 6'2", 6'3", he's able to make all the catches. The rack ability, great hands, great route running. Just a big physical receiver. This is a tough matchup for Texas. I'm not gonna lie, but just looking at both teams, I can trust Texas's offensive defense 10 times out of 10 and not be disappointed. It's Washington. I'm getting to be a little. The defense, they don't stop much. I remember against that USC game, I think USC had 28 points on them. Yeah. Final score this year was 52-42. They let USC put up 42 points on them. And USC is a great offense, but you got to be able to stop something. So with that being said, I would have Texas winning on Monday, and I would have Alabama winning on Monday. And yeah, I mean, we'll come back and we'll do that episode next week, and we'll find out if I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong, then I'll be sad. But accept it for it is what it is. And yeah, we're gonna move on to this last portion of the video. We're gonna talk about some transfer portal stuff, some of the off-season moves, because as you know, the college football calendar is stupid, and college football doesn't have a commissioner or anything to run it. I'd say go and hire Josh Pate to be the college football commissioner if a position like that appears to be made. But other than that, I want to go ahead and give some updates or just some insight onto what kind of moves made, because the transfer portal stuff like that is basically like the equivalent of the NFL or the NBA's free agency or trade deadline or stuff like that. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at some of the moves that's being done. So Texas A&M wide receiver Evan Stewart, top 5 wide receiver talent in the nation. He entered the transfer portal, and he's heard from 5 schools we should watch: Florida State, Ole Miss, Oregon, USC, and Tennessee. I'm hearing Tennessee is a big favorite to get him as of right now. Pairing him with a quarterback like Nico Iamaleava would be huge. Nico was a 5-star quarterback coming out of his class. I think he was the number 1 quarterback coming out of his class, to be specific. Pairing a guy like Evan Stewart, who could be wide receiver 1 on pretty much any team in the nation, that would be huge. We'll see where that goes. Stewart's hot name in the portal, and I would love if Texas got greedy when we wanted to pursue him, but Tennessee as of right now is the favorite to land him. I think that would be a pretty good fit, but I could also see him fitting at Ole Miss or Florida State or Oregon. For quarterback Will Howard, he was the quarterback from Kansas State. He entered the transfer portal after Kansas State liked Avery Johnson, the young quarterback with the long curls or whatever. Will Howard entered the transfer portal. Will Howard had a great year last year. Had a pretty good year this year, kind of up and down. But the 2 main teams for him are Ohio State and USC. And we've heard USC be a favorite for him all season long, but now Ohio State's entering the mix. And I think that could be a pretty intriguing fit. I think Will Howard is a little bit better than what Kyle McCord gave for Ohio State this year. So we'll see what that leads for him. He's also weighing in, going to the NFL and entering the NFL draft. So we'll see for Will Howard. Michigan and Alabama are in the lead for the USC transfer cornerback, Damani Jackson. And I got reports today that Damani Jackson was at the Alabama practice for the Rose Bowl game. So that's kind of crazy how the two teams duking it out for the Rose Bowl. The two in charge for former five-star Damani Jackson. So he's a huge name to keep an eye on. Um, I don't even remember how he actually did at USC. USC was just kind of atrocious on defense. You know, they tried to step it up, but um, they couldn't stop a whole lot in the Pac-12. I'm looking at a list of guys that have already committed to a bunch of schools. I'm going to name them out. We got Walter Nolan, who is the number one defensive tackle in the portal, probably the number one overall guy in the portal. He transferred from Texas A&M to Ole Miss, and Ole Miss was hot this portal season. Princely, I can't even pronounce his last name, but he went to Maynard. He's an edge from Florida. Um, he committed to Ole Miss. We got two quarterbacks going to Oregon. Former Oklahoma quarterback Dylan Gabriel committed to Oregon, and former quarterback from UCLA Dante Moore committed to Oregon. So Oregon's kind of got that quarterback spot locked up. And they got quarterback for next season to contend. They got Dylan Gabriel, and they got the quarterback for like the next 2 or 3 years with Dante Moore backing them up. And Dante Moore was a five-star guy himself, so that'll be pretty exciting to see for Oregon. Running back Trevor Etienne, that is the younger brother of Travis Etienne. Travis played at Clemson, and he's a running back for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor, he committed to Georgia, so he transferred from Florida to Georgia. Talk about transferring to the enemy, right? But Etienne is a very solid running back, great talent. Georgia's got to be thrilled with having him on the team. Quarterback Riley Leonard transferred from Duke to Notre Dame. That's going to be pretty cool to see him in a Notre Dame uniform. We'll see what Notre Dame can do. I know my friend Isaiah is hoping that the Aggies beat Notre Dame in like week 1 or 2 next year, but I don't think that's going to happen. But we'll see. We'll see. Offensive tackle Caden Green, he transferred from Oklahoma, transferred over to Missouri. So he's going to his hometown to play for Missouri. Missouri was a hot program this year. They won like 9 or 10 games. So that's a great fit for them. Edge from Georgia, Mark Jones Jr. committed to Florida State. So that's pretty good for them. I believe he was a 5-star edge coming out of high school. This is a pretty significant hit for me. Edge Trey Moore, he was from UTSA. He transferred to Texas, and Trey Moore was, in an intriguing battle. It was between Alabama or Texas, and he decided to go with the Hook Horns. So it's great to see Trey Moore commit to Texas and, want to be a Longhorn for next season as we, move into the SEC and match up against a lot tougher competition. Trey Moore. And Aiden Childs, quarterback from Michigan State, transferred to Michigan State. So that'll be cool to see over there. In other news, Texas transfer quarterback Malik Murphy has committed to Duke. That was a pretty cool fit to see, Malik not to end up at, an SEC school or a school that Texas will likely have to play later down the line. But I think it's a great fit with Manny Diaz taking over as head coach. So we'll see what Malik can do in the future as a Blue Devil. 5-star quarterback from USC, Malachi Nelson has entered the transfer portal, and he's heard from 5 teams since he's done that. He's heard from South Carolina, Houston, Tulane, TCU, and Cal. I think South Carolina could be a great fit, but overall, I think what's kind of a little bit troublesome with Malachi Nelson and his portal situation is that Lincoln Riley has always been really good at developing quarterbacks, or at least finding the quarterback talent and making them high and whatnot. But Malachi Nelson was a 5-star, top quarterback in his class, and he entered the transfer portal. I guess Lincoln Riley's time at USC might be on a leash. So we'll see, but I guess Malachi Nelson not being the starting quarterback or not having any success with Lincoln Riley as his head coach is a little bit troublesome for me. Nonetheless, I think he can thrive at any one of these 5 schools that I named. South Carolina, Houston would be a good school. They're in the Big 12. They're going to look to, I think, hire a new head coach or looking to hire a new one. So maybe they'll have some success in the Big 12. Tulane, TCU, and Cal. Defensive tackle from Texas A&M, LT Overton. He committed to Alabama. This was another big one for me. Defensive back Andrew Makuba transferred from Clemson to Texas, and that was a huge one. The Austin native Andrew Makuba plays safety predominantly. He's going to be huge. And safety is probably the weakest spot of this Texas Longhorns team, so that'll be good for us going into next year. South Carolina wide receiver Juice Wells has committed to Ole Miss. He formerly played at James Madison in South Carolina. I think he was like All American as a freshman. So yeah, Ole Miss is rocking and rolling in sport. And former Mississippi State quarterback Will Rogers committed to Washington, so he'll be looking to replace Michael Penix Jr. And wide receiver Ja'Cory Brooks transferred from Alabama to Louisville, so that'd be cool to see. But yeah, that's it. That's all the portal news I got. That's all the playoff talk that I got for previews for y'all. I personally think that Texas is going to beat Washington, and I think that Alabama's going to beat Michigan. And if I'm wrong, then we'll come to find out next week. And if you want to make some bets or anything with me, y'all can hit me up in the meantime. But that's going to be it for episode 23. I want to say a special thank you to the sponsor of this video, Chris Sneed, for paying the Barber and High Jump Party Rentals. If you're in the San Antonio area, you can reach out to either or for a haircut or any party you need, whether it's party bounces, tables, popcorn machines, game machines, they got it. That's going to be it for episode 23. Thank y'all for tuning in. And in the meantime, I hope everyone has a blessed week. And I hope y'all enjoy the new year. Peace.